Alright folks, well, I did promise you, I sure did, I promised you a video where we're going to run the Quadro GP100, which is the Pascal generation of workstation card with an integrated fan blower, which makes it much more convenient, and DisplayPort outputs with 16 gigabytes of HBM2 high bandwidth memory. And we got 4096-bit bus width and 762 gigabytes a second in bandwidth. Now, in the other corner, we have the Titan V of the long-lost, little-talked-about Volta generation. And this card, much like the GP100, it's the GV100, also has an integrated blower and DisplayPort outputs. So, you're a betting person? Would you go for the GP100 or GV100? I can tell you price-wise, my money's on this one, and it really literally is too. So why don't we, oh look what's in here. Why don't we get it set up, and we'll get it going. Let's see how they perform. Driver-wise, I don't expect too much trouble, but you never know. All right, so I'm going to power this down real quick, right? I've been running the 980 Ti for, well, not bad, 88 frames. Okay. Well, hopefully the drivers on the 980 Ti being, let's say, a bit close at least to the GP100 might not put it too far back. But again, these are data center workstation Quadro Volta, so these types of cards, they're a little bit more finicky. I'm impressed about how cool this 980 Ti is too. All right. Good looking card. Maybe we'll look at that too. All right, first, what do they say, age before beauty, right? So we'll go with the Pascal generation GP100 first. All right, get it nice and tucked in here. Doesn't have to be overly secure. We're not going to be taking it on any, roller coasters or anything like that. But at the same time, we don't want it to be loose. So that just, well, they don't like that. All right, just FYI, this is the 8-pin PCIe, and what I'm using here, I'm just going to show you, because it's a fascinating little gadget in the days of gadgets. Well, basically what it does is, nowadays all the power supplies have the 12 VHPWR, it's the 12-pin that comes out. This one here is actually a 1300 watt power supply. There's two of them. And so rather than fussing with all the 8 pins that you traditionally work with on, say, a 750, 850 watt, with these newer ones, you can actually just port this adapter, which is a 12-pin, 12 VHPWR adapter, onto your 12 VHPWR native power supply connector, and it provides you with the reverse, basically, which you'd see with some of the earlier RTX series cards when they were starting to roll out with 12 VHPWR that would actually run it in quite the reverse. I don't want to get too far off tangent here, but like the ones that would typically do this, right? So you'd have to come in with your dual or triple 8 pins, and you'd come out with the 12-volt high power, but this does the reverse. I find it quite useful too, because I can get quite a few more pins, especially when dealing with cards like this, that have 3 separate connectors. So I typically don't really run single 8 pins out of the power supply, at least if it's modular. I'm much a choice otherwise, but anyway, maybe that's more on another topic. We'll go ahead and get it connected and ready to go. And this only takes 1. So, got some bug in here. Make sure to hook up the display port. In this particular one, I have to use an adapter. This takes HDMI to display port because the GP100 only supplies you with 4 display port outputs. All right, hooked up, snug. I'm gonna leave it open for the purpose of the video. Normally I would enclose it and support it and everything, but we want to see what's going on here. So if you're ready. I'll step out of the way for a second, make sure we're seeing what we want to see here. There we go. You guys a good angle here. All right, let's see how long it takes to figure out how to boot back up. Again, going from the 980 Ti to this GP100 might take it a second to figure out. Maybe more like 30 seconds. Oh, there we go. Typically when you see the RGB start coming on, it's almost like a sign of life. It's like you brought it out of the, yeah, then you see the RGB on your peripherals too, and then there you go. Now again, this card here, for all its focus on compute and AI and ML, and I guess more in its day before the AI boom and all that, it was doing a lot of, say, Autodesk and things like that, SolidWorks. So here we are. Now I'm going to run a quick GPU-Z to see if it's picking it up. Rather than go through all the trouble, I can run a device manager, see if it's still, oh, not bad. Now, I'll admit I might have cheated a little bit because I've put this in here before. So, it's already got some of the workstation and data center drivers pre-installed. So you'll see here it's getting the full gambit, Vulkan, ray tracing, PhysX, OpenGL 4.6, DirectML, Direct Compute, CUDA, and OpenCL. So, I'm not going to run Afterburner as much as I am tempted. We're going to run these cards bone stock, like it's a drag race. So, here we go. You want to start with Furmark? Let's see. Oh, this is either, I guess that's the only size we can work with. So we'll run it in GL and see what we get. Be mindful of temperatures too, because I get a little wary of these data center card fan blowers. You can see that GPU hotspot ratchet up pretty quick. That's pretty impressive right there. You're getting 100 and about an average 150 frames a second out of a Pascal generation card. I'd say that's something. I am going to watch that hotspot. That hotspot gets a little bit too close for comfort to that 90. I'm going to back it off. I know the GPU temp's showing still hovering around 70 degrees, and typically I like to turn a better fan curve on, which is one of the reasons I would have run the Afterburner, but, and yeah, we'll go ahead and call it just to be safe. So, let me do this real quick. We'll get a legit run. Third time's the charm. There it is. And now we get some good air going through it. Press, we can leave B, and let's go ahead and try that one more time. All right. I don't know if you ever tried this one. You could feel, because obviously it takes the air, the way those fan blowers work, they draw it through the bottom and then they spin like a turbocharger and they blast it out the front, so, or the back, whichever you want to call it. And if you put your hand right here, you can feel really well that it's churning up some heat. Yeah, with that fan going, I'm not terribly concerned. So it's pretty steady around 64 and 82 in the hot spot. I mean, if it does somehow sneak up to 90, doesn't look like it will, but we'll keep an eye on it. Yeah, it's impressive to see something this far back in the architectural and generational, as you'd say, the family tree, running such an impressive frame rate. And there it is. I guess I could submit it. It might make some folks feel bad. Let's see, not bad. Latest. See who's been out there submitting. Oh no. Oh, look at that. Yeah, it might hurt a few feelings, but I don't think we're gonna bother anyone with a 5070. So anyway, not bad at all. We can look at the charts too, kind of see where that frame rate might put us in terms of, say, your run-of-the-mill gaming cards. So we're up there with, say, a 3070 Ti, 2080 Ti, somewhere in that neighborhood. That's not bad at all. I'm not too sure why they have the 3080 Ti down here beneath. Well, anyway, we'll get into that another day, but that's card one. Now, the Titan. So here we go. And this poor machine here, I love it too. It's a fantastic machine. It's got a Ryzen 9 7900X, 64 gigabytes of Corsair, Vengeance, DDR5. It's a good machine, but right now it's being used as a bench. But you know what? Can you think of a better use when you do this? Probably not. For safety. All right. Oh, that's right. My light's hooked up there. All right, here we go. The Volta. This one's got its power connectors in the front. I want to hook them up and I can give it live power. We'll get that light back on. There we go. And oh, there it is. Oh man, good morning. Again, I'll put an anchor screw in here for good measure. Hopefully the drivers won't be too much of a mess. This one here actually takes straight HDMI, so I don't need this adapter. And we're gonna fire it up and go. All right, there we go. Pascal to Volta, Quadro to Titan. See, I already know the answer. I would tell you who I'd bet on, but it's not really betting when you know. Curious your thoughts, though. And if you saw any way I had it configured that could be given a card a benefit over another, let me know that too. All right. Now, I imagine the same thing where you get a flicker screen and hopefully it captures the proper drivers for this one. Here it comes. Oh, look at that, like magic. All right. Now let's fire that up just one more time. And this time I'm going to preemptively fire up the fan curves and make sure this, there we go. All the goodies. All right. Now, again, I'm using Afterburner just as my, ease of access desktop interface for just doing some fan tuning to make sure we don't run hot when we run these benches. So I'm not going to take the power limit up, none of that. So see, this will get the fan curve going. I'll minimize this, fire up the fur mark, and off we go. Huh. I really hope you're seeing this. Look at that, 180 frames a second on 1080p. In case you don't believe me, I'm going to bring you in closer for this one. This is again the Titan V without any overclocking, any overvolting, nothing more than a safely tuned fan curve to keep those temperatures where I don't worry about them. There it is in there, folks. Not bad at all. Running up there with, I'd say, a 3070. Of course, we'll look where it lands on the benchmarks when it wraps up here. But needless to say, it's impressive. There we go. The bit. The 172 FPS. We make anyone feel? Oh, look at that. Neck and neck with a 5060 Ti. I just so happen to be there. All right, look at that. Both firmware GL, so both running OpenGL at 1080p. Wow. Let's see how this 191 with a 5060 Ti Blackwell card. Here we are with an old Volta card on HBM2 getting 172. Now, where does 172 put us in the grand scheme? Well, it looks like it's somewhere between, according to this chart, right about where we landed, above the 2080 Ti and 6700 XT, 4060 Ti, and a smidge below, if I'm seeing that right, the RTX 3090. Wow. Okay, well, I hope you folks enjoyed this one. I think we ought to run a few more benchmarks like that when I bring the Radeon card over here, see how that Vega 56 performs. But again, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this little GP versus GV100 drag race, and we'll have another good one here shortly. All right, like and subscribe, please. It does help out. It keeps us going. If I, hopefully one day make some money off this, it'd be wonderful. All right, talk again soon.